How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is Oceans Reviews here today. Now, back since my long break, my second video here today. Now, I wanted to get into sort of, I suppose, more like just, I guess, reviews. So obviously this channel revolves around talking about movies. Now, I wanted to get into like sort of retro movie reviews. So go back and watch movies that I've either not watched or haven't seen in a very long time, or yeah, just movies that I've seen but it's been a long time, and then I'd maybe call it like revisited reviews or something like that along those lines, kind of like that sort of movie title, or that sort of video title, sorry. So I think, yeah, we might do that. I kind of got the idea from just literally looking at a film that I hadn't seen in a long time, and I just thought, you know what, that'd be a good movie to watch again. I haven't seen it in so long. It's been, I think, more than a decade since I've seen this film, and I only just watched it again this past week. Now, I was actually I didn't really think about this movie like for that long. But then I stumbled across it one day again, and I was like, I remember that, and I remember really enjoying it. Like, I remember it being quite good, and I'm having a lot of fun with it, but it was very vague. Like, my memory was super vague on like the actual like elements of the film and what took place. And back then I was still like really young, so I feel like any movie watching I did back then I would have taken with a grain of salt. But now that I'm a bit older, I can sort of, I guess, analyze films a bit more, and I can sort of decipher like what's going on and have like some sort of, I guess, I don't know, like awareness, I suppose, when it comes to watching films. Now, rewatching this film again, film I watched for the past, like over a couple of days ago, was Terminator Salvation. Now, as I said, I haven't seen this film in a long time, and I saw that it released in either like 2009 or 2012. So it's been a while since it released, and I looked back on it and I was like, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind watching this again. And I didn't realize it had such a good cast, that it had Christian Bale and Sam Worthington in it. So I was like, I don't really remember them being in the film. So I just thought, like, this is awesome. Yeah, I'm keen to watch this again. So yeah, I gave it a chance, and from what I got from it, it was quite good. It had some cool eye candy action scenes in it, but I can see where the problems lie with this film and why it didn't do so well and why it wasn't well received. I know it doesn't measure up to the first and the second film. I mean, coming into this film had big shoes to fill. Like, coming after Terminator 1 and 2, this film had to do something like amazing to beat those films in terms of like the box office and like just, I guess, reviews and ratings and critic ratings, I suppose. And, you know, it definitely fell short. But I like the direction where they took. Like, you know, they actually made a movie that's based in the future where the actual war is going on, and not sort of the original concept where it's sending like a Terminator back in time, you know, to kill like Sarah Connor or John Connor or something like that. I do like the idea of the direction this film was going, and it had to do with the war and the future and like everything that was going on there. Which I think that's awesome. Like, I'd love to see another movie, at least, that's done better, that has to do with that and more about that. But there was a lot of issues, like the dialogue, like the acting, the dialogue in this film felt like no one wanted to be there for some reason. I don't know, it just felt really sort of dull and a bit slow, and I don't know, Christian Bale in this film felt really lifeless. Like, he always talked in a low, like, husk. Like, I don't know, his tone of voice was just weird. I don't know. I feel like he probably is a little bit the same like in this film as he is in Batman, kind of like the way he talks, but I felt like he had more energy in that film. In this film, I feel like he just didn't want to be there. Yeah, and I also, which I had no idea about, but he had what came from this film, as well as like the film was kind of not as good, but as well as like Christian Bale's like freak out on set where he like abused someone or something rather, which I didn't know existed until I just was researching it the other day and I just stumbled across it, which was interesting. So I guess like that could factor in as to why maybe the film wasn't as good. Maybe like the actors weren't really in high spirits. I don't know, like, you know, that could have played a factor. You know, it could have played a factor as in why this film flopped as it did. But yeah, the action scenes were quite good, some really good eye candy. I did like Sam Worthington in this film. I thought he was probably the strongest actor in the film. Bar everyone else, he was definitely the strongest for me. I almost said Transformers. The Terminators in this film didn't really feel like Terminators. Like, they did, but I don't know, they just seemed a bit weird to me, the design of them. Like, some of them, they're like sort of dressed up in human clothes and they're all muddy and grubby, and I don't know, they just looked weird. And the guns, the weapons that they use, they're using like human weapons, like with machine guns, when they're supposed to be using like these laser weapons, you know, like of like plasma rifles or something, or whatever you call them. They're supposed to be like using things like that, at least from like my experience. But yeah, the biggest problem I had with this film really was sort of the design of the Terminators, and also the dialogue. Like, not just like random scenes when two people are talking with each other. It just seemed like a bit lifeless. It just, yeah. But the action was fun. I thought it was a fun film. There was some fun scenes in there, especially the petrol station scene. That was pretty fun. That was pretty cool, pretty scary. That was a good scene. But other than that, I mean, yeah, it was alright. It was okay. It's not something to rave about, but it does do a lot better in my books compared to the latest like few installments that we did get, which was like Terminator Genesis and Terminator Dark Fate. I've only watched those films the once each, and I might revisit them at some point, but don't count on it. It's just, I don't really want to waste my time really with those films. I know there is a animated sort of Terminator film coming out on Netflix, I think in maybe a week or a couple of weeks. That looks kind of interesting, so I'd be keen to see what that's all about. Keep an eye out for that if you guys are keen on that. I mean, it is produced and developed by Netflix, so maybe don't have high hopes, but you never know, could be good. But when it comes down to ranking this film out of the the first two, I'd say it's probably my fourth favorite Terminator film. I really like the third film. I know a lot of people don't, but I like the third film. So for me, it would literally just go as the movies released. So 1, 2, and 3 for Terminator Salvation at number 4. But yeah, it's just the main issues, dialogue, a bit lifeless when, people are talking to each other, those sort of scenes when not a lot's going on, it just seems a bit lifeless. The design of the Terminators weren't great. But yeah, other than that, it's just an okay film. They could have taken it maybe in a different direction, or they could have done some things differently. But I think other than that, I thought it was quite good. I'd watch it again, I think. And it's one that I don't own on physical media, which I probably should. I mean, I think it's worthy of having in the collection. But yeah, so out of 5, I rated this movie a fair 3, which I think it is worth a 3. I don't think it's worth any more than that. But yeah, I'd love to know what you guys think of Terminator Salvation in general, or I'd like to see maybe like your ranking down below of the films. Or if you guys have had experience with the comics or something rather. I'd love to know if those are worth giving a read, because I quite enjoy that sort of stuff and like looking into things like that, like further than the films. Also, if you guys are interested, there is a fantastic game. I know some of you guys are gamers, some of you are not, but for those who are interested, there is a fantastic Terminator game called Terminator Resistance, I believe. Quick Google search. Yeah, Terminator Resistance, and that is essentially about you are a soldier for the Resistance and you're fighting in this future war, and the game is actually really good. It's a surprisingly good game. So it's very rare that we get a game that's from a movie license that is good. So it's definitely worth giving a go if you guys are fans of the Terminator series. I'm sure it's on Xbox or console as well. Console or, PlayStation or Xbox. So if you're into that sort of stuff, definitely I'd recommend giving it a go, because it is quite good. But other than that, love to hear your thoughts down below. Leave a comment and I'll see you guys in the next one.